The morning started like any other Tuesday in New York City. People rushed to work, children played in parks, and nobody looked up at the clear blue sky. Nobody saw the massive ship that appeared above Earth's atmosphere without warning. Admiral Sarah Chen was drinking coffee in her Pentagon office when every screen in the building went black. Then a voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded like crystal breaking mixed with wind through caves. "People of Earth, I am Overseer Zixthera of the Galactic Council. Your world has been discovered." The voice came from every television, every radio, every phone on the planet. In Moscow, President Petrov dropped his tea. In London, Prime Minister Walsh stopped mid-sentence during a meeting. In Beijing, Chairman Liu watched his secure computer screen flicker with an alien face made of moving crystal. "Your species is young and primitive," the voice continued, "but you show potential. The Galactic Council offers you a gift. We will uplift your civilization and bring you into the greater galaxy." Admiral Chen set down her coffee and walked to the window. High above, she could see a dark shape blocking out part of the sun. It was bigger than any city, floating in space like it belonged there. "However," Zixthera said, and her voice grew cold, "civilization requires order. Your chaotic ways must end. You have 30 of your days to accept our generous terms." The terms appeared on every screen. Admiral Chen read them with growing horror. 80% of humanity would be moved to mining colonies on distant worlds. Earth's governments would be dissolved. Human culture would be replaced with approved galactic standards. Children would be taken for proper education off-world. "This is insane," Admiral Chen whispered. "If you refuse," Zixthera continued, "we will demonstrate why refusal is unwise." The crystal being's face disappeared. For a moment, Earth's communication systems returned to normal. Then every news channel showed the same thing. Mars's moon Phobos, the small rocky satellite that had orbited the red planet for millions of years, simply vanished. One second it was there. The next second it was gone. Not destroyed. Not broken apart. Gone as if it had never existed. "That was our gentlest warning," Zixthera's voice returned. "We await your surrender." The screens went black. Admiral Chen sat heavily in her chair. Around the world, leaders were making emergency calls. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists all asking the same question. What do we do now? In the Pentagon's deepest levels, Admiral Chen walked through corridors that officially didn't exist. She used her handprint and eye scan to open doors that weren't on any blueprint. Finally, she reached a room where Dr. Marcus Volkov was already waiting. Dr. Volkov was old, maybe 70, with wild gray hair and thick glasses. He had been working on classified projects for 40 years. Projects so secret that most governments didn't know they existed. "You saw the broadcast?" Admiral Chen asked. "I saw it," Dr. Volkov nodded. "I've been expecting this day for a long time." "Expecting it?" Dr. Volkov walked to a wall covered with sheets. He pulled them away, revealing dozens of photographs, charts, and technical drawings. "Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about the Tunguska event in 1908? Admiral Chen frowned. "Russian forest. Big explosion. Scientists think it was a meteor. It wasn't a meteor." Dr. Volkov picked up a photograph of twisted metal that looked nothing like Earth technology. It was a probe. An alien probe that crashed in Siberia over 100 years ago. "That's impossible, is it?" 3 governments found the crash site. British, Russian, and American teams all recovered pieces. For over a century, we've been studying their technology, learning from it, preparing. Dr. Volkov led her to another wall covered with blueprints, ships that looked like nothing in any military handbook, weapons that seemed to bend reality, defense systems that existed partially outside normal space. Project Prometheus, Dr. Volkov said, started in 1908, continued through 2 world wars, the Cold War, and every conflict since. We knew this day would come, the day we met something bigger than ourselves. Admiral Chen studied the drawings. "These ships, do they actually exist?" 1,237 of them, hidden in asteroid belts, camouflaged space stations, and underground facilities. We've been building a secret fleet for 60 years. Why wasn't I told? Because hope is dangerous, Dr. Volkov said quietly. If governments knew we had weapons, they might try to fight openly. They would lose. Earth would be destroyed. Our only chance is if the aliens think we're helpless. Admiral Chen looked at technical specifications that hurt her head to read. Quantum tunneling drives. Reality displacement fields, AI systems that could learn and adapt faster than any biological brain. Can we win? she asked. Dr. Volkov adjusted his glasses. Conventional war? No. The Galactic Council has ships that can crack planets like eggs, but they've made one critical mistake, which is, they think we're primitive. They expect us to surrender or fight like every other species they've conquered. Honorable, predictable, logical. Dr. Volkov smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Humans are none of those things. Over the next 3 days, world leaders publicly prepared for surrender. They made speeches about cooperation and peace. They organized the logistics of moving billions of people. They acted exactly like the defeated primitives the Galactic Council expected them to be. Secretly, Admiral Chen activated networks that had been sleeping for decades. Military officers who had sworn impossible oaths, scientists who had dedicated their lives to projects they couldn't discuss, engineers who had built weapons from alien blueprints they barely understood. The Ghost Fleet powered up in the darkness between worlds. Ships that existed partially outside normal space began moving toward Earth. AI systems that had been learning human military history for 50 years started running battle simulations. Dr. Volkov worked 18 hours a day, making final preparations. The aliens are confident, he told Admiral Chen during one of their midnight meetings. Their scout reports show a primitive world with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. They see no threat. Good, Admiral Chen said. Let them keep thinking that. On day 25 of the countdown, President Williams made the official surrender speech. Standing in the White House, looking defeated and scared, he announced that humanity would accept the Galactic Council's terms. We have no choice, he said, tears in his eyes. We must think of our children. We must survive. It was a perfect performance. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council nodded with satisfaction. Another primitive world had seen reason. Another easy conquest for their empire. They sent a small fleet to manage the transition. Only 200 ships. Why would they need more? Earth had no military that could threaten galactic technology. The humans would be grateful for the chance to join galactic civilization. Admiral Chen watched the enemy fleet approach on screens that didn't officially exist. In a few days, alien ships would be in Earth's orbit. The surrender ceremony would begin. The Galactic Council would think they had won. They were wrong. Signal the fleet, Admiral Chen ordered. Operation Prometheus is go. In the darkness between worlds, humanity's secret weapons began their final approach. The Galactic Council was about to learn what humans did to those who threatened their home. They were about to learn why Earth had never been conquered. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Sarah Chen walked through tunnels that had been carved out over 70 years. The walls were smooth metal that seemed to absorb light, making everything look like it existed in a different world. This was Facility 7, and it was humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Marcus Volkov led her through corridors filled with technology that shouldn't exist. Engineers worked on machines that bent space around them. Technicians calibrated weapons that fired bullets through different dimensions. Computer screens showed star charts of a galaxy humanity was never supposed to see. How many people know about this? Admiral Chen asked. Worldwide? Maybe 3,000. Scientists, engineers, military personnel, all sworn to secrecy, all ready to die before revealing what we've built. They stopped at a massive window looking down into a construction bay. Below them, a ship hung in the air without any visible support. It was dark gray, almost black, and parts of it seemed to fade in and out of existence. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. That's the Prometheus, Dr. Volkov said with pride. Our flagship. 300 meters long, armed with quantum torpedoes and reality displacement cannons. It can exist in normal space and what we call ghost space at the same time. Admiral Chen stared at the ship. Ghost space? Imagine space has layers like an onion. We learn to move between those layers. In ghost space, we're invisible to normal sensors. We can travel faster than light without using the alien jump gates. We can appear and disappear like shadows. They walked to the next viewing window. This one showed a factory floor where hundreds of smaller ships were being assembled. Each one looked different, adapted for specific missions. Some were long and thin like spears. Others were round and covered with antenna arrays. All of them had the same dark metal that seemed to swallow light. Fighter craft, Dr. Volkov explained. Each one controlled by an AI that has studied every war in human history. They learn from every battle, adapt to every enemy tactic. The aliens have never faced anything like them. Admiral Chen felt a mixture of hope and fear. If we've had this technology for decades, why didn't we use it? Because we only get one chance, Dr. Volkov said seriously. If we reveal ourselves too early, if we fail, the Galactic Council will know what we're capable of. They'll come back with their full military force, thousands of ships instead of hundreds, weapons that can destroy solar systems. They entered a briefing room where holographic displays showed the enemy fleet approaching Earth. Red dots moved slowly across a three-dimensional map of the solar system. Each dot represented a ship larger than any aircraft carrier ever built. 200 ships, Admiral Chen observed. How many do we have? 1,200 active vessels. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Dr. Volkov touched a control and the display changed. Now it showed detailed scans of the alien ships. Look at their design. Admiral Chen studied the enemy vessels. They were massive and impressive, covered with weapons and armor. But something was wrong with them. They're built for intimidation, not combat. Exactly. The Galactic Council hasn't fought a real war in 50,000 years. They've conquered primitive worlds and policed their empire, but they've never faced an enemy that could fight back. Their ships are designed to look scary and destroy helpless targets. The display zoomed in on one alien vessel. Admiral Chen could see weak points in its structure, places where the armor was decorative rather than functional. The weapon placement was inefficient, designed more for impressive light shows than actual battle effectiveness. They're overconfident, she realized. Dangerously so. Our analysis suggests their fleet could probably destroy Earth's surface, but they'd have trouble fighting a mobile enemy, especially one they can't see coming. Dr. Volkov led her to another section of the facility. Here, rows of supercomputers hummed quietly, processing information faster than human minds could follow. Screens showed thousands of battle simulations running simultaneously. Meet Athena, Dr. Volkov said, our tactical AI. She's been studying the alien probe's data for decades, learning their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. A pleasant female voice spoke from hidden speakers. Hello, Admiral Chen. I have been looking forward to meeting you. Admiral Chen looked around nervously. Is it alive? I prefer to think of myself as very enthusiastic about my job, Athena replied with what sounded like humor. I have run over 2 million battle scenarios against the approaching fleet. Our probability of victory is 87%. What about the other 13%? Scenarios where the enemy has hidden capabilities we haven't detected, or where human commanders make critical mistakes. However, I have been studying human psychology for 40 years. You are remarkably good at surviving impossible situations. Dr. Volkov smiled. Athena has been helping us design weapons specifically for this invasion. Show her the quantum torpedoes. The display changed to show a cross-section of a missile unlike anything Admiral Chen had ever seen. Instead of a simple explosive warhead, this weapon contained technology that made her head hurt to look at. Conventional weapons must penetrate shields and armor, Athena explained. Quantum torpedoes skip that step entirely. They tunnel through space-time and detonate inside the target. No defense can stop them because they never travel through normal space. That's impossible. The aliens taught us it was possible when their probe crashed. We just improved on their design. Our torpedoes are smaller, faster, and much more destructive than anything in their arsenal. They moved to a testing chamber where a prototype weapon was being fired at a target made from alien materials recovered from the crashed probe. The quantum torpedo seemed to simply disappear from its launcher. The target exploded from the inside, torn apart by forces that should not exist. Impressive, Admiral Chen admitted, but they still outnumber us. Quality over quantity, Dr. Volkov said. Plus, we have something they don't expect, which is human creativity. Aliens think logically. They follow rules. They fight honorably. Humans cheat. Admiral Chen spent the next week learning about humanity's secret arsenal. She saw factories hidden in asteroid belts producing ships and weapons around the clock. She met pilots who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come. She studied battle plans that threw out every rule of civilized warfare. The most impressive facility was hidden inside what looked like a normal communications satellite. In reality, it was a massive weapons platform armed with orbital bombardment systems that could strike anywhere on Earth or in near space. The aliens will try to establish command posts on our planet, Dr. Volkov explained as they toured the satellite. They'll think Earth's surface is safe territory. They're wrong. Admiral Chen watched technicians calibrate targeting systems. How many of these stations do we have? 47. Hidden as weather satellites, communication arrays, and space telescopes. When the time comes, every major alien installation on Earth will be hit simultaneously. The final stop was the most important, a room filled with communication equipment that could reach every hidden base, every secret ship, every covert operative around the solar system. When you give the word, Dr. Volkov said, this room becomes the command center for the largest military operation in human history. Every weapon we've built, every soldier we've trained, every plan we've made will activate at once. Admiral Chen looked at the communication consoles, each one connected to part of humanity's secret fleet. How do we coordinate an attack across the entire solar system? Athena handles the timing. Human commanders handle the creativity. The aliens are used to fighting species that attack predictably, with honor and warning. We're going to hit them everywhere at once using tactics they've never seen. As they prepared to leave the facility, Dr. Volkov handed Admiral Chen a small device that looked like an ordinary phone. What's this? Direct communication to every Prometheus facility in the system. When you press the red button, Operation Prometheus begins. Every ghost ship moves to attack position. Every hidden weapon goes active. Every secret base prepares for war. Admiral Chen held the device carefully. The weight of the entire war in my hands. The weight of human freedom, Dr. Volkov corrected. The Galactic Council thinks we're helpless primitives. They're about to learn that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because we're stronger or smarter, but because we never give up. Above them, the alien fleet continued its approach to Earth. In a few days, they would arrive expecting an easy surrender ceremony. Instead, they would face the fury of a species that had spent over a century preparing for this exact moment. The countdown to war had begun. The Galactic Council fleet arrived in Earth's solar system like conquering heroes returning home. Admiral Kethmoran stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant Will, watching the primitive blue world grow larger on the main screen. Around him, 200 ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the authority of 50,000 years of galactic dominance. Scans show no military resistance, reported his tactical officer, a four-armed Zephyrian with proud military decorations. The humans have positioned their primitive spacecraft in non-threatening formations, just as predicted. Admiral Kethmoran nodded with satisfaction. This would be another easy conquest for his record. The humans had seen their demonstration with Phobos and wisely chosen surrender over destruction. It was always better when primitive species showed intelligence. Signal the fleet. Begin standard occupation protocols. On Earth's surface, President William stood in the White House Rose Garden, surrounded by world leaders who had gathered for the surrender ceremony. News cameras from every nation recorded the historic moment. Behind the president, Admiral Sarah Chen stood at attention in her dress uniform, looking appropriately defeated. Citizens of Earth, President Williams began, his voice heavy with false resignation. Today we welcome our new partners from the Galactic Council. We surrender our independence in the hope that our children will have a place in the greater galaxy. The words tasted like poison, but they were necessary. Every satellite, every radio transmission, every public broadcast was being monitored by the alien fleet. The surrender had to look real. High above, Admiral Kethmoran watched the ceremony with approval. Excellent. Begin deploying ground forces to the major population centers. I want command posts established in 12 of their primary cities within the next solar cycle. Yes, Admiral. Shall we begin loading the first transport groups? Proceed. Start with 1 million specimens from their North American continent. We'll process them at the lunar staging facility before shipping them to the mining colonies. Around Earth, alien ships moved into position. Transport vessels descended toward major cities. Command ships took up orbit over strategic locations. Everything proceeded according to standard council protocols, just as it had on 10,000 other primitive worlds. None of them noticed the small sensor ghosts that flickered at the edge of their detection range. Ghost ships hung in the darkness between dimensions, invisible to council technology, recording every movement, every communication, every tactical decision. In the asteroid belt, Dr. Marcus Volkov watched the alien deployment from the hidden command center inside Ceres Station. The facility looked like a mining operation from the outside, but its heart contained the most advanced computers humanity had ever built. Athena, are you tracking all enemy vessels? He asked. Affirmative, Dr. Volkov. I have detailed scans of 197 ships, 3 vessels are maintaining position beyond the outer planets, likely as communication relays. All enemy formations are proceeding according to predicted patterns. Dr. Volkov studied the tactical display. The Council fleet had spread across the solar system in a standard occupation formation. It was textbook strategy for controlling a helpless world, but it was also perfect for what Admiral Chen had planned. What's their estimated combat readiness? 63%. Their weapons are powered but not primed for combat. Shields are running at minimum strength to conserve energy. They are configured for policing operations, not battle. Excellent. Signal Admiral Chen. The trap is set. On Earth, Admiral Chen received the coded message during the surrender ceremony. She touched her earpiece briefly, acknowledging the signal. Around her, alien troops in intimidating armor were taking positions throughout Washington, D.C. Similar scenes were playing out in London, Moscow, Beijing, and 8 other major cities. The Council troops were impressive but careless. They moved with the confidence of conquerors who had never faced real resistance. Their weapons were advanced, but they held them casually. Their sensors swept the area, but they were looking for obvious threats, not hidden ones. Admiral Kethmaran transported down to Earth for the formal surrender ceremony. He was a towering figure, 8 feet tall with blue-scaled skin and 4 arms, each ending in clawed hands. His uniform was covered with medals from successful conquests across the galaxy. President Williams, Admiral Kethmaran said in accented but fluent English, "The Galactic Council accepts your surrender. Your species will be relocated and retrained according to standard protocols. Compliance will ensure your survival." President Williams bowed his head. "We understand. We are grateful for the Council's mercy." "Good. The first transport ships will begin loading civilians tomorrow. We will start with your military personnel and government leaders to ensure there is no misunderstanding about your new status." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "Sir, I request permission to coordinate the military surrender personally. It will help ensure our soldiers comply without resistance." Admiral Kethmaran studied her with intelligent eyes. "You are the senior military officer?" "Admiral Sarah Chen, United States Navy. I speak for all of Earth's military forces." "Very well. You will report to my staff tomorrow morning. Any sign of deception or resistance will result in immediate termination of your entire command structure." "Understood, sir." As the ceremony concluded and the alien forces dispersed to their assigned positions, Admiral Chen walked calmly back into the White House. To any observer, she looked like a defeated officer accepting her fate. In reality, she was calculating distances, timing, and opportunities. That evening, she met secretly with the president and other world leaders in a secure bunker beneath the Pentagon. The room was shielded against alien scanning technology, one of many preparations they had made over the past decades. "The enemy is in position," Admiral Chen reported. "They've deployed exactly as Athena predicted. Ground forces in 12 cities, orbital coverage over major continents, supply lines stretching back to their staging areas beyond the moon." "Can we win?" asked Prime Minister Walsh via encrypted video link from London. "Their fleet is strong but spread thin. Their ground forces are designed to intimidate civilians, not fight soldiers. Most importantly, they're not expecting any resistance at all." President Williams leaned forward. "When do we strike?" "Tomorrow. They plan to start loading our people onto transports. The moment they begin that process, they'll be focused on logistics instead of security. Their ships will be clustered around Earth instead of in defensive positions." "The timing has to be perfect," warned General Harrison, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. "If we attack too early, they'll have time to regroup. Too late and they'll have hostages." Admiral Chen nodded. "Athena has calculated the optimal moment. When the transport operations begin, the enemy fleet will be in the most vulnerable formation they'll ever use. Our ghost ships will be in position around every major vessel." She activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Red dots marked enemy positions while blue ghosts showed the hidden human fleet. It looked like David preparing to face Goliath. If David had been invisible and armed with weapons Goliath couldn't detect. Phase 1. Simultaneous strikes on all enemy vessels using quantum torpedoes. Phase 2. Ground assaults on their command posts using weapons hidden in our own cities. Phase 3. Pursuit and destruction of any survivors attempting to escape. "What about casualties?" asked President Williams. "Minimal on our side if everything goes according to plan. The aliens will try to retaliate against civilian targets, but we've prepared for that too." The next morning, Admiral Chen reported to the alien command post in Washington as ordered. Admiral Kethmoran greeted her with the casual confidence of a predator who knew his prey couldn't fight back. "Admiral Chen, your transportation schedules are inefficient. We will improve them." "Of course, sir. We want to cooperate fully." "Excellent. The first transport departure is scheduled for 1400 hours. 1,000 of your military officers will be processed for relocation to our training facilities." Admiral Chen felt cold anger, but she kept her face neutral. "I'll ensure they're ready, sir. See that you do. The Council rewards cooperation and punishes defiance. Your species would do well to remember that." As Admiral Chen left the alien command post, she checked her watch. 1400 hours was in 6 hours. The transport operation would begin at exactly the moment when the enemy fleet would be most vulnerable. She walked to her car and started the engine. As she drove through the city, she could see alien troops on every corner, their advanced weapons casually displayed. Transport ships hovered over major buildings, ready to begin loading human cargo. The aliens thought they were in complete control. They thought humanity was helpless. They thought Earth was just another primitive world to be processed and forgotten. They were wrong. Admiral Chen pulled out the communication device Dr. Volkov had given her. The red button waited under her thumb, connected to the largest secret military operation in human history. In a few hours, the Galactic Council would learn what happened when someone threatened Earth. They would learn why humans had survived every disaster, every war, every extinction-level event in their history. They would learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her car outside the Pentagon, watching alien transport ships hover over Washington, D.C. In 30 minutes, those ships would begin loading human prisoners for transfer to slave colonies across the galaxy. The first victims would be military officers, government officials, and scientists, the best and brightest of humanity, taken first to prevent organized resistance. The aliens had no idea they were about to start the largest war in galactic history. Chen pressed the red button on her communication device. Across the solar system, signals pulsed through quantum networks, reaching every hidden base, every ghost ship, every secret weapon that humanity had built over the past century. Operation Prometheus was active. "Athena, report status." Chen spoke into her comm device. The AI's voice came through clearly despite the alien jamming systems. "All units report ready, Admiral. Ghost Fleet is in position around all enemy vessels. Orbital platforms are armed and targeted. Ground teams are standing by in all 12 cities." Chen checked her watch. "Time to attack? 17 minutes and 38 seconds until optimal moment. Enemy transports will begin loading operations, concentrating their forces for maximum vulnerability." Around Earth's orbit, things were happening that Admiral Kethmoran's sensors couldn't detect. Ghost ships materialized from dimensional space, their quantum tunneling drives positioning them within striking distance of every Council vessel. The Prometheus itself, Admiral Chen's flagship, appeared like a shadow behind Kethmoran's command ship. Captain Maria Santos commanded the Prometheus from her position in the asteroid belt, her consciousness linked to the ship through neural interfaces developed from alien technology. She watched the enemy flagship on her screens, noting its weak points, its weapon placements, its shield generators. "All ships report ready," Santos announced to the human fleet. Quantum torpedoes armed and targeted, awaiting Admiral Chen's signal. In the depths of space, 1,200 human ships prepared for battle. They were smaller than the Council vessels, built for speed and stealth rather than intimidation. But each one carried weapons that could tunnel through space-time itself, bypassing every defense the aliens had ever imagined. On Earth, hidden weapon systems came online in every major city. What looked like cell phone towers revealed themselves as particle beam cannons. Office buildings opened to expose missile launchers. Underground bunkers that had been waiting for decades finally had targets for their accumulated firepower. Admiral Kethmoran stood on his bridge, completely unaware that death was surrounding him. His tactical officer was reporting normal operations, standard readings, no threats detected. The human surrender was proceeding exactly as planned. "Begin transport operations," Kethmoran ordered. "Load the first group of prisoners." On the ground, human soldiers began marching toward the waiting transport ships. They walked with heads down, looking defeated and resigned. Admiral Chen was among them, playing her part perfectly. To any observer, they looked like a conquered people accepting their fate. None of the aliens noticed that every human soldier was carrying what looked like standard communication devices. None of them realized that those devices were actually quantum detonators, each one linked to weapons hidden throughout the city. Transport ships are beginning loading operations, Athena reported to the human fleet. Enemy formation is now at maximum vulnerability. All targets locked. Admiral Chen looked up at the alien transport ship above her. In a few minutes, she and 1,000 other officers would be inside that ship, supposedly on their way to slavery. Instead, they would be in perfect position to sabotage the enemy from within. Signal all units, Chen commanded. Execute Operation Prometheus. The war began with silence. Across the solar system, quantum torpedoes materialized inside council ships, bypassing shields and armor to detonate directly against reactor cores. The weapons made no sound in space, but their effects were devastating. Massive alien warships simply disappeared in brilliant flashes of light, their hulls torn apart from within. Admiral Kethmoran's bridge exploded around him. Emergency alarms screamed as his flagship lost power, life support, and weapons in the first seconds of the attack. Through the smoke and sparks, he saw something impossible on his screens. Human ships appearing out of nowhere, weapons firing, his mighty fleet dying. How is this possible? He shouted over the chaos. They're primitives. They have no military technology. On Earth, the ground assault began simultaneously. Every alien command post, every occupation force, every transport ship found itself under attack by weapons that shouldn't exist. Particle beams sliced through alien armor. Quantum missiles struck from impossible angles. Railguns fired projectiles at speeds that turned individual bullets into city-killing weapons. In Washington, D.C., Admiral Chen activated her quantum detonator just as the transport ship began lifting off. The explosion tore through the alien vessel's hull, sending it crashing into the Potomac River. Similar scenes played out in London, Moscow, Beijing, and every other city where the aliens had established control. Captain Torres commanded a squadron of human fighters that materialized around a council supply convoy. Her ships were 1/10 the size of the alien vessels, but her quantum torpedoes didn't care about armor thickness or shield strength. Target their engines first, Torres ordered her pilots. Make sure none of them can run home to warn the rest of the council. Her fighters moved like angry wasps, too fast and too small for the alien weapons to track effectively. Torres laughed as her torpedoes punched through a supply ship's hull, turning its cargo of occupation equipment into expanding plasma. This is for every world you've conquered, she shouted as another alien ship died. In space near Mars, Commander Singh found himself facing a council heavy cruiser that was 3 times the size of his destroyer. The alien ship was armed with weapons that could crack moons, defended by shields that could stop nuclear weapons. Singh didn't care. Athena, give me a firing solution on their main reactor, he commanded. Quantum torpedo locked and ready, Commander. Warning, the explosion will damage your own ship. That's fine. We didn't build these ships to survive. We built them to win. Singh fired his torpedo and immediately began evasive maneuvers. The quantum weapon tunneled through the alien cruiser's hull and detonated inside its power core. The resulting explosion lit up the Martian sky and sent Singh's destroyer tumbling through space with half its hull melted. Singh wiped blood from his forehead and grinned. 1 down. Next target, Athena. The battle raged across the entire solar system. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking at alien vessels with weapons that defied every law of physics the Council understood. The aliens tried to fight back, but their sensors couldn't lock onto targets that existed partially outside normal space. Admiral Kith Moran managed to get his damaged flagship's communication system working long enough to send a desperate message to the Council homeworld. Emergency. Transmission to High Command. Earth resistance is impossible. They have ships' weapons technology beyond our understanding. Request immediate reinforcement of full battle fleet. The response came back quickly. Impossible. Earth is a primitive world. There must be some mistake. No mistake! Kethmoran shouted as another explosion rocked his ship. They're destroying my entire fleet. They have weapons that bypass our shields. Ships that can't be detected. This is not a primitive species. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Santos watched the alien flagship burning in space ahead of her. Admiral Kethmoran's proud vessel, designed to intimidate and conquer, was now a drifting wreck with its hull torn open and its crew dead or dying. Admiral Chen, this is Santos. The enemy flagship is neutralized. Total enemy casualties: 167 ships destroyed, 23 ships crippled, 6 ships attempting to flee. Chen's voice came back from Earth, where she was coordinating the ground assault on alien occupation forces. Excellent work, Captain. Pursue and destroy the fleeing vessels. No survivors. No one goes home to report what happened here. Understood, Admiral. All ships pursue fleeing enemies. Show no mercy. The final phase of the battle was a hunt. Human ships chased down the few Council vessels that had survived the initial assault, using their superior speed and stealth to run down enemies that were never designed for actual combat. Ghost ships appeared behind fleeing transports, sending quantum torpedoes through their engines. Fighter squadrons swarmed around damaged cruisers, finishing them off with concentrated fire. Admiral Keth Moran's flagship was the last enemy vessel to die. As human Marines boarded his ship to capture any surviving intelligence, Keth Moran sent one final transmission to his government. Council High Command, this is Admiral Keth Moran. Final report: Earth is not a primitive world. They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They've been preparing for this war for over a century. Our entire fleet is destroyed. They're coming for you next. The transmission ended as Captain Santos personally put a plasma bolt through Keth Moran's chest. 6 hours after it began, the Battle of Sol was over. 200 Council ships lay destroyed or captured. Not a single human vessel had been lost, though many were damaged. The ground assault had eliminated every alien presence on Earth, with minimal human casualties. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Emergency sessions convened daily in the crystal halls of their homeworld. Nexus Prime. 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years now faced a threat they had never imagined. A primitive world that refused to stay conquered. Overseer Zixathara stood before the High Council, her crystal form flickering with stress patterns. Around her, representatives from across the galaxy demanded answers she didn't have. "Explain to us again," demanded Councillor Vorth of the Hegemony, his forearms gesturing angrily, "how a species that barely achieved interplanetary flight destroyed our entire enforcement fleet." "The intelligence was incomplete," Zixathara replied, her voice like breaking glass. "Earth appeared primitive because they wanted us to think they were primitive. They have been preparing for this encounter for over a century." "Impossible," hissed Councillor Sistak, a serpentine being whose species had joined the Council 3,000 years ago. "No species developed such technology without our knowledge. Our monitoring systems would have detected it." "Their technology is unlike anything in our databases," Zixathara admitted. "Ships that exist partially outside normal space. Weapons that tunnel through dimensions. Artificial intelligences that adapt faster than biological minds can think." The chamber erupted in angry voices speaking dozens of languages. Fear was something the Galactic Council had forgotten, but now it filled their halls like a poison gas. High Councillor Xeris, oldest and most powerful member of the Council, raised his energy form for silence. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of millennia. "Show us the transmission from Admiral Keth Moran." The chamber darkened as holographic displays showed the final moments of the Council fleet, ships simply vanishing in quantum fire, weapons that struck from impossible angles, human vessels appearing and disappearing like ghosts in the night. "This is not random violence," Xeris observed. "This is systematic warfare conducted by a species that understands our weaknesses better than we do ourselves." As the Council debated their response, they had no idea that human ships were already in their territory. Admiral Sarah Chen commanded a fleet of 50 ghost ships from the bridge of the Prometheus, using captured Council star charts to navigate between alien worlds. "Next target, Athena?" Chen asked her AI companion. "Kepler Station, Admiral. A Council supply depot orbiting the 4th planet of the Rigel system. Current garrison, 12 patrol ships, minimal defensive systems. Intelligence value high." Chen studied the tactical display. Kepler Station was a massive structure that served as a logistics hub for 3 star systems. Its destruction would cripple Council operations across an entire sector. "Are there civilians on the station?" "Negative. Kepler Station is staffed entirely by Council military personnel. However, I am detecting approximately 2,000 beings from subject species working as laborers." Chen's expression hardened. Subject species, slaves in other words. Beings from worlds the Council had conquered and forced into servitude, just as they had planned to do with humanity. Signal the fleet. We're going to liberate that station. The attack on Kepler Station was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships materialized around the orbital facility like deadly phantoms, their quantum torpedoes striking critical systems with surgical precision. But instead of destroying the station, they disabled it. Captain Santos led the boarding operation, her Marines using powered armor derived from alien technology. They moved through the station's corridors like avenging angels, neutralizing council guards while protecting the enslaved workers. "This is Captain Santos to all station personnel," she broadcast over the facility's communication system. "We are humans from Earth. We are here to offer you freedom." In the station's main hangar, 2,000 beings from a dozen different species looked up at Santos with a mixture of fear and hope. These were the Valthari, whose world had been conquered 50 years ago. The Nexari, enslaved for 2 centuries. The Caithlan, who had served the council for so long they barely remembered their own culture. "You know who we are?" asked one of the Valthari, a tall humanoid with silver skin and large eyes. "We know you are slaves," Santos replied, just as they tried to make us slaves. "But we chose to fight instead of surrender. Now we offer you the same choice." An old Nexari stepped forward, his insectoid features showing decades of forced labor. "Fight against the council? That is impossible. 3 months ago they said the same thing about us." Santos gestured to her Marines. "Look around you. This station is ours now. Their ships are destroyed. Their guards are dead or captured. Nothing is impossible when you refuse to accept defeat." Word of the liberation of Kepler Station spread across the galaxy faster than the Council could suppress it. Soon, similar attacks were happening throughout their territory. Human fleets appeared at mining colonies, freeing enslaved populations. They struck at patrol bases, destroying ships and capturing intelligence. They attacked communication relays, disrupting the Council's ability to coordinate their response. Each successful operation brought new allies to the human cause. The Valthari provided detailed intelligence about Council military installations. The Nexari shared their knowledge of alien technology. Dozens of species that had been conquered over the millennia began to remember what freedom felt like. On Nexus Prime, the Council's emergency sessions grew more desperate. Reports poured in daily of new defeats, new rebellions, new systems declaring independence from Council rule. "They're not just attacking our military," reported Intelligence Director Calthon. "They're spreading revolution. Every world they liberate becomes a recruiting ground for their alliance." "How many systems have we lost?" asked High Counselor Xeris. 47 star systems in open revolt, 12 more showing signs of unrest. Our subject species are abandoning their work assignments and fleeing to human-controlled territory. Overseer Zixithera projected a galactic map that showed the spreading rebellion. Red zones marked human-controlled space, which was growing like a cancer through the heart of the Council Empire. "They're not conquering territory," she realized. "They're liberating it. Every species they free becomes part of their alliance. They're turning our own empire against us. Then, we respond with overwhelming force," declared Counselor Vorth. "Deploy the Grand Fleet, crush this rebellion before it spreads further." "The Grand Fleet numbers 10,000 ships," Xeris said slowly. "Are we prepared to commit our entire military to destroy one primitive world?" "That primitive world has already destroyed 5 of our fleets and liberated 50 systems," Vorth replied angrily. "How much more evidence do you need that this threat must be eliminated?" As the Council prepared their massive military response, Admiral Chen was planning something that would shock the galaxy. Intelligence gathered from captured alien facilities had revealed the location of the Council's most closely guarded secret, the Throne Worlds, where the original member species of the Council lived in luxury, while their empire enslaved the galaxy. "Athena, show me the defenses around Nexus Prime," Chen commanded from her ready room aboard the Prometheus. The AI's holographic form appeared, displaying detailed schematics of the Council homeworld. Nexus Prime is defended by orbital platforms, shield generators, and a permanent garrison of 500 ships. However, their defenses are designed to prevent invasion, not infiltration. "What do you mean?" "Their security systems are configured to detect large fleets and conventional weapons. They have no defenses against quantum tunneling technology, because no other species in the galaxy possesses it." Chen studied the defensive grid around the Council capital. It was impressive but outdated. designed for an era when the Council faced no real threats. Could a small force penetrate their defenses? Affirmative. A single ghost ship could reach the planet's surface undetected. However, the mission would be extremely dangerous. The ship would be operating alone, far from any support. Chen smiled grimly. I'm not planning a suicide mission, Athena. I'm planning a broadcast. 2 weeks later, the impossible happened. As the Council convened for another emergency session, every communication system on Nexus Prime activated simultaneously. Screens throughout the planet showed the same image. Admiral Sarah Chen standing on the bridge of a human warship, speaking directly to the galactic government. People of the galaxy, Chen began, her voice carrying to every world in Council space. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Alliance. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council tried to enslave my species. Today we stand in orbit above their homeworld. Panic spread through the Council chambers as they realized the truth. Somehow, impossibly, human ships had penetrated their most secure star system and were broadcasting from directly above their capital. For 50,000 years, the Council has ruled through fear and intimidation, Chen continued. They have enslaved entire species, destroyed civilizations that refused to submit and claimed to bring order to the galaxy. Today their reign of terror ends. On worlds across the galaxy, enslaved populations stopped their work to watch the broadcast. Subject species that had never dared to hope for freedom suddenly saw possibility in the image of humans defying their masters.